back in the mail, strong.
Microphone check 1 2 1 2. What is this?
Episode.
You should have put on socks.
We don't know.
I don't know. No, I do know. It's episode 007. Dude, we recording. I'm do an intro yet.
Nigga talk crazy to me, bro.
Yeah. Episode 007. Of the Blood Don't Matter podcast, the podcast where we talk about family and black issues and dealing with black issues within a black family, trying to overcome. I think last week we talked about coping and how coping fucking it sucks.
Oh, I was having
and this week I feel like this week will be a little bit better.
Yes,
it's not going to be the Sad Boys podcast no more. We definitely. I tried to watch that. That shit was hard to stomach. Trying to watch it.
Man, this was right.
Yeah,
it was hard.
Bad. Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, so this week is better. You know, I'm not sleeping all day anymore. I mean, you didn't know this because you were working, but they knew. I slept all day because depression is real. We're not in that place anymore. I'm having a little bit more energy. Thank you, antidepressants. Oh, yeah. And that's kind of it. What you got to say, Vic?
We didn't go over Ramon's week.
Oh, he said it was better.
It's supposed to go like this.
She don't care about me. She never asked me how my week is.
Right.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I'll be the last one. Go ahead.
Sure?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I've actually been doing pretty good. I know I was extremely down bad for the last few weeks, but I'm a huge subscriber to Perception is Reality, and I kind of realized that I was so down bad because my perception of, you know, just things like my mental state and my situation at whole was very bad and negative. So I decided to kind of try to look at it from a more positive angle, and it's really helped. So Perception is Reality. How you look at things will definitely determine how you take them and how things pan out.
Thanks.
Manifestation is real. Yeah.
Anyways, I've been putting in a lot of hours. I don't got much to say. I'm putting in a lot of hours. It was a tough week, and it's like 5 more weeks of this. So I guess
5 more weeks.
5 more weeks? Why?
Why are you putting so many hours in it anyway?
Yeah.
Shamar.
I feel like you know. Because my store started doing the vaccine, so
oh,
I did know that, but
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, did you know that he's also vaccinated?
No.
Yeah. He got
pressed. I was like, no. His boss was like, you got the vaccine? He was like, no, sir. He's like, get your ass in the back right now. Isn't that what he told you? He said, go get that Pfizer right now. I came in, he was like, you vaccinated? I said, nah. He was like, okay, you good, sir.
Y'all are stupid. Okay, I
like
didn't
my
know
manager came up to him
that.
every time and was like, you want to get vaccinated? He's like, yeah, sure.
Oh, me? Bro, this
Did you get
the whole
vaccinated?
day. Nah, but this man asked me, like, his manager asked me like 10 times if I was going to get it.
I mean, you should have stopped saying yes every time.
I didn't want to say no. Like, look, bro. I am not a conservative or anti-vaxxer, anti-masker, nothing. I just don't want to get the vaccine because I don't feel like it. Okay.
Well, both Victor and I are not vaccinated, but I was going through stuff, so I just haven't been able to get to the
You plan on getting vaccinated?
Yeah, I plan on going to the. Yeah, no, I'm being for real.
I'm
so
just lazy.
They have a whole lot. No, real stuff. I'm gonna go get vaccines. It's not that big of a deal. I'm feeling a little bit better these days. I'm hoping it stands.
Yeah.
Not only did I get vaccinated, but I also signed up to be a vaccination ambassador at my job.
Okay.
Really, to really just figure out what is what really is the deal with the vaccines. I think if you watch the news, they just pump your whole or your mind with so much misinformation. Not that the news is wrong, but they just continually sensationalize, and they talk about just the what if scenarios about the vaccine. No one really knows what it is unless you're working with the CDC or directly in healthcare. And even with me, I'm working in healthcare and I still didn't have enough information about the vaccine. I just took the shot.
Is it not the same?
No, it's the same.
It is. There's just a lot of misinformation for it, right?
Like the fact that it only came out in 8 months. That's not true.
The mRNA, what does that actually do?
It's a piece of the virus, and then people also think not to cut you off, but people also think that the vaccine just manifested out of 8 months. That's not what happened. Yeah.
That's also not how vaccines work. Vaccines have a groundwork that they every single vaccine follows.
Yeah. Thank you.
They didn't just pull it out their ass.
That's why I became an ambassador, so that way I can get the proper training and actually know what the fuck I'm talking about when someone does ask me a question. Because my position, everyone's like, oh, well, did you get it? Oh, well, did you know it does this? And I'm like, No, it doesn't.
They be
It
asking me the
doesn't
same
do
thing.
anything.
They be coming to my job like, oh, can you tell me exactly what the chemical breakdown of it is?
The new thing I love to see online now is it's not approved by the FDA. Nigga, neither is the sugar that you eat. Shut the fuck up.
Not even the sugar that you eat, not the coronavirus tests that are being tested, whether it's the overnight one or it's the rapid. None of these things are FDA approved because we're in the middle of a panoramic. It's a parallelogram.
There are emergency provisions in places why I didn't take the normal time frame of going to the FDA.
Exactly.
But I think it's funny how a lot of these small government folks love to then talk about the larger part of the aspect of it and say, oh, well, it's not approved by the FDA, and it's like you never really cared in the first place.
It's not.
Stop with the political theater.
But it's not the largest part of it. Those type of people, they take a very small true thing. I'm doing air quotations because truth, you need it in context. Take it completely out of context. Don't tell you why it's not FDA approved. Don't tell you that it actually went through a more rigorous process because it was an emergency and people worked around the clock to make this available for us. Yes, it's not FDA approved, but tell the whole story, put it in context.
I can't wait until we can no longer wear masks. And everyone's like, oh, we should make that a thing permanently.
Oh,
I'm not one of those things. I'm sick of the mask.
I am, bro. I haven't had to fix my beard in so long because of the mask, and I'm so happy for it.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, no, I hate the mask. First off, have you ever bought masks?
Yeah.
Oh no, I mean like the disposable. Like I gotta wear the disposable.
So it cost me $45 for a box.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I hate it. I'm sick of masks.
I like it.
The sooner everyone can get vaccinated.
Joe Biden is doing like 2 million a day.
Which again, it doesn't stop you from catching the virus. But it stops them symptoms from happening.
Kind of like the flu shot.
So at that point,
exactly
please, hurry up and get the vaccine so I can take off this goddamn mask. But still, don't touch me. I like the 6 feet distance.
Why is that not a thing forever?
I don't know.
Can we just keep social distancing? Just stay away from me, please.
Except in lines, because it just
no. Let's definitely keep it in
10
line.
times longer.
I don't care. People are gross. No.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys want to segue?
Well, no, because I want to finish my week though, because my
your week wasn't done.
Yeah, no, my week wasn't done. We just started talking about the COVID, and I didn't want to really talk about it. But my week's actually been pretty good.
Oh.
No complaints. No, I mean, I was looking for something to complain about. I really don't have anything. I got we got this new office at work, and it's brand new. So every day I've been learning something new about this process and different surgeries that take place. So pretty soon I'm going to be really live up to the hype of knowing everything and be a master at none. Just like my job description back in the military. 94 everything. Knowledge of all, but master at none.
Got it. So, segueing, do you guys want to deep dive into the super straight?
Is that what we're going straight into?
Was that part of bait news or?
Yeah.
Do you have any bait news?
Yes.
I feel like a lot of news has happened and we haven't talked about none of it.
Yes, I have a whole heap to say. Unpopular opinions first. I do not think Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion did a good performance. Not because it was vulgar. I like that shit. What I did not like is the fact that they looked just unprepared, just all in all. The vibe, the energy was off. And then I was not just pleasantly surprised, but I was so excited at Doja Cat's performance. She is continuing to set herself apart from performers. She is magnificent. And then she decided to super duper flex on everybody by singing that shit live. She's really out here doing these things. The second thing that I guess we can open up the floor for, because ain't nobody watching motherfucking Grammys. I don't care about that shit.
No, ma'am.
Nobody watched it. Literally, the ratings were trash. What do we feel about Saweetie and Quavo breaking up?
Man.
Why are you laughing?
Because I saw so many memes that those
so
tweets
funny.
that Quavo put out, it was actually Future helping him, bro.
Oh, man.
Because the way, I don't know if y'all peeped, but I'm sure y'all two did it, but Sean, I don't know if you peeped the way Future, you could tell Future,
Yeah.
he a slick motherfucker.
Yeah,
He's talking.
because he literally, is problematic. First of all, I have looked into the whole Saweetie and Quavo breaking up, and I think he's being so weird with his words because
it has to be help. He has to be getting help from either Offset or
he's being
Future.
real like shady, and not shady he's shading like Saweetie, but not actually putting anything behind it. Saweetie was very to the point. She said, "You cheated on me. I can't take that. that is bad for my mental health. I'm leaving. And he's just
This
like,
nigga turned around and said, I thought you was a different type
I
of girl.
thought you was different type of
you a
girl.
goat, nigga.
like it's like, you're not toxic. All them other niggas is toxic. Like, no, you're the problem. She clearly stated what happened. Are you gonna refute her claims that you cheated on her, or are you going to just shut up and let her move on? So, what you think?
I mean, he did lose a baddie.
I really
He
don't care
did
about,
lose a baddie.
I really don't care
That
about
bitch is fine.
Quavo or Sweetie, but that actually that whole thing process or whatever, that actually brought my conversation that we were talking about earlier, Vic, in the car, about how stupid relationships are.
What do you mean?
Relationships are stupid. Well,
So we're segueing into relationships from Sweetie and Quavo?
well, yeah, because this,
I'm okay with it.
I feel like that most of the time these older celebrities have these conversations about what they think of what they entail what their relationship would be like, and then us peasants down here in the poor world assume that just about anyone and everyone in a relationship should either be completely exclusive to each other or practice monogamy. And I just feel like in the 21st century we should not be forcing people to be in monogamous relationships. So I just find it kind of stupid that everyone just kind of assumes that was what it is. And if that's Sweetie's reasoning to break up with him, fine, let that be their reasoning. But I also think that, as adults, we should really have an honest conversation about, especially men, they need to balls up and really have an honest conversation about monogamy or the lack of monogamy that they actually want for, and stop going for exclusivity when it doesn't.
When you're not doing
suit
that.
when it doesn't suit them.
And
at
then
the same
gaslighting
time,
somebody.
Yeah, at the same time, it takes two to tango, right? So most dudes they're looking for one thing.
But those dudes that have like an unlimited resource.
True.
Like,
that's true.
That just wildly rich men.
Yeah, true. But again, I mean, a lot of these dudes, especially the rich, in my opinion, again, I feel like they're dating women for the celebrity, for the status and the celebrity, and not because they actually want to be in relationships.
Not this situation. I feel like Sweetie got a come up off of being with Quavo. I feel like her star power.
Yeah,
I feel like.
Do we think that
Well,
Quavo,
yeah, when his DM went
really
viral,
Yeah,
so icy, I'm a glacier boy.
Do we think that Quavo actually liked Sweetie, or did he like the status of having someone as bad as Sweetie?
No, because Sweetie was always bad when she came out with Matoria Fit.
Yeah,
but she
I know.
wasn't.
But that doesn't
she
necessarily mean
wasn't
that
on the
Quavo
level.
really liked her.
But that doesn't. She wasn't on. Like, okay, so here's my thing. I think that Sweetie's bad. I think that she's a businesswoman. I actually really think that she's a phenomenal businesswoman. But I'm not gonna sit here and pretend as if Sweetie was Quavo's caliber. She wasn't. She has a build a body, a beautiful freaking face, but she was not at the star power of Quavo. And her music hit because of her proximity to Quavo. When people like say 8-inch, that's good pipe. People felt like, damn, she's talking about Quavo.
I'm not talking about the looks of the relationship. I'm talking about whether or not we think that Quavo actually liked Sweetie.
I think he liked her. I think that's the only reason why he got with her. I think he liked her.
So then that goes back to my point of setting the terms and conditions of your relationship. If you liked her so much and her thing was, you have to be exclusive, then why get with her knowing that doesn't work for you?
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's
Why
true.
not, bro? Why not?
Well, again,
I feel like it
goes back
sounds
to
good,
having-
right?
it
When
goes
you're
back to having an
vibing
honest
with somebody
conversation.
and you're having that honeymoon phase, and you guys are like talking all the time for hours on end, you feel like this person, you can be monogamous with this person. You're not even thinking about another person when you're in that person's presence.
Why is that the default? Why is it I like this person, I want to be monogamous with this one
Because
person? Why
a
is
whole
that the
bunch of
default
old white
for?
niggas with no hoes made the rules.
Facts. I don't even, hands up. I don't have nothing to add. I don't have nothing to add to that because,
That's
to be
literally
honest,
why.
I feel like that's what it was.
So being that most of our world we know that is dictated by old white men with getting no hoes, why won't we change that? How come that's not a thing to actually
because
change how it is?
because they wrapped it up in just humanity altogether.
Yeah.
They made it
It's a
so
combination of
deep.
things.
Yeah.
And I think it's time to change that. I think it's time to change that because I think all this publicity around them can't be good for their mental.
Man, it's not, because she already
this is
said
the
that.
thing. They got religion on their side. It's gonna be so hard to change something when they got religion back in this whole
Who's
monogamy.
that?
That's true.
the people who push that monogamous bullshit.
They connected it to
It's
God.
connected to religion.
But even people that aren't religious practice monogamy, or automatically default to monogamy when they may not really vibe with it.
Well, here's the thing. So we live in a society that is dictated by two things. That's money and religion, right?
Mm-hmm.
On our money is in God we trust, right?
Mm-hmm.
So even if you are an atheist or Buddhist agnostic, even if you're not a Christian or even if you're not religious at all, you still live in a society that is heavily dictated by religion.
Mm-hmm.
So even though you don't realize it, you still view that monogamous status as something to strive for, coming from a religious aspect, despite you not being religious.
You see value in it. Like, where there is really not a real value, because monogamy doesn't really, first of all, the whole concept of being together, like, okay, that's cool, but that's not where it started. Marriages were contracts. They were a way to bring civilizations together to garner more money and more power.
You married my daughter, I eat 32 goats a month. It's like shit like that.
So it's like, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I feel like, I don't know, circling around back to them, I feel like Sweetie is the one that benefited from this relationship. I do feel like Quavo liked her, and I feel like he's salty. But I don't feel like he's salty. One, because he really, I think he had love for her. But number two is the fact that he feels like, being the man of a particular tax bracket, that I paid for this. I have paid for this. Yeah, I cheated on you. Yeah, I slapped fat asses with hoes that ain't you. But you wake up in a multi-million-dollar home in a gated community. You got, over 5 Birkin bags, and I probably got a few on back order for you. That one time that I cheated on you with that bitch in Texas, allegedly. You know what I'm saying? Like, you woke up to so much money in your bank account, and I transferred that without even asking you, and then you still gonna leave me? So I feel like Quavo felt like he put in, like, he's like, all right, we got this contractual agreement, and I crossed the boundary, but I paid for that. How the fuck did I still lose? So that's gonna make him salty and put him very much in a future standpoint, like, let me fucking
let me tell you this. Everybody likes to think, as long as, and even some of my favorite artists said this. Like, there's a quote from Lil Uzi. He said, "When you got this type of money, you're never ugly." But that only lasts so long. You can pull the baddest bitches, but you can still, no matter how much money you have, no matter how much gifts you get, you can still lose them easily. The money does not keep them.
But when you got that much money, is it even the goal to be with one person?
Absolutely. I think he wanted it. What it is that it's that power is a drug. Yes, it comes along with the money, and the reason that it's all fucked up is because he has so much access, but at the same time, you don't know how that feels, which I'm getting ready to literally put out a whole series on that. Remember how I was telling you about social media and how they built it? And they built it for it to release dopamine in our brain, for us to feel powerful and all these things. It is a drug to have that type of power. So we're looking at it as the actual, infidelity, and we're looking at it from a sexuality standpoint when it has a little bit to do, not that much. He can go home and fuck Sweetie. But to have that type of power and to have somebody in your face willing to do whatever the fuck you tell them to do, you get off on that shit alone. She don't even gotta be bad.
Yeah, facts.
I don't know why I keep joking.
How you feel about monogamy, Shamar?
I don't even know what that means.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Shamar!
Dedicating your life to one person versus, being polyamorous when you have multiple partners, or just being in an open relationship.
Yeah.
Just being in an open relationship.
Yeah, monogamy's fine.
Do you advocate for that? Is that your goal too?
Is that what you want to do with life?
Yeah.
You want to be one woman and be with her for the rest of your life?
But why?
No hoes?
But why no hoes? Like, how did you come to that, like, realization, that decision? Like, how did you get there?
Or did you just kind of accept it as a common thing
A societal
that everyone
norm.
strives for?
I don't really know. It's just
That's
just how it is. That's just how it is.
That's just how it is.
For
And
me,
you just-
I
I
think
think
you could do what you want.
I think because you're young, you should definitely take some time and think about it.
Like
Not
3
you!
years old.
About this man is motherfucking young.
Look, I may be the youngest one, but I think in terms of wisdom, there's no one beyond me.
No, you are
Look,
literally beneath
I am the wisest person on the planet.
the lies and fallacies.
Mom, can you do my
I
taxes?
had
Yo, I said wise, not intelligent, alright? Two
I
different
had a
things.
1 hour freaking conversation about how irresponsible I think you are, Victor. I
Look.
did not think.
I'm gonna be rich though, so.
Oh,
It doesn't take
Undoubtedly.
wisdom to be
It don't
rich.
matter.
It doesn't. It doesn't take wisdom.
I'm
to be
also
rich.
not responsible. My credit score starts with 7.
Oh wow! So why
you
the fuck do you
only
spend
have
any
one
money?
credit card though.
Isn't that
It is
crazy?
3 months old.
That's
not
also
bad.
that's a lie too. But all right.
Man, it's
Nah,
strange.
I just
You don't have anything to close that to close that whole sweetie and
what? Nah, because I personally like Shamar. I personally don't care about what happens with Quavo or Sweetie because
I feel like it starts a bigger conversation.
huh?
That's all I think. I think it starts a bigger conversation, and I think that people.
So are you saying that you shouldn't be monogamous?
I'm just saying
So you
that
should be true to yourself.
monogamy is not really
It's
what
not the
people,
default.
It's not really what one is not the default. One is not what people think that it is, and two, I don't think that monogamy, in the very simplest terms, is what broke their relationship up. Right? He forfeited on some type of contract that they made privately, but at the same time, I don't think he cheated on her because he found a girl that was so pretty. He cheated on her because he felt powerful in the situation. If you with a sweetie and she is famous in her own right, and you guys are on even playing field, I think he cheated to feel powerful, and I feel like it's very dangerous when we try to convolute the two things.
So why do you think Playboy Cardi cheated?
Oh, he trash.
I think Playboy Cardi cheated because he's a goat with too many hoes.
No.
Okay.
I do think that I do think that for a lot of men, especially men with money or men with disposable income.
Sex not being fun. Like they can fuck
No,
anybody.
it's not even about sex. It's the
Power.
idea. It has nothing to do with power, right? Because I think I don't think it is power. I think it's just the point that everyone doesn't discuss certain things like sex. Sex is a taboo conversation. I know I say this a lot. I sound like a broken record. But because sex is such a taboo conversation, it's not discussed before people get in these relationships. And then the default, because of society, is to be monogamous. So when people start to grow and change and their interests start to change, and that one person's interests are no longer aligned with their partner that they went in this invisible contract with monogamy goes into, they look for an out to express themselves, and they turn into sex. So I don't even think it's not about power. It's about anything. It could be as simple as two people growing in different directions, where before they were aligned, and now that they are growing in different directions, they're stuck. One is stuck with being monogamous, and the other one is stuck with, well, I'm just trying to express myself sexually.
Ooh, I do have something to definitely segue into, and I think it's something that I have for them, not for us.
What is it?
What the fuck y'all think about that new AI rapper?
Yeah,
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's a robot. You know what I'm talking about?
No, but I know this one person on Instagram who's like she's a girl, but like she has a robot face.
What?
If you know what I mean.
No.
I'll show you her before.
It's a
not
is it
like a
virtual
literal
tuber?
You're talking about the the AI chick? Like she's not real?
Yeah, like I guess she's physically real, but like her
Oh,
face is
it's
always
It's like it's like the Twitch AI streamers, the V streamers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that shit is
It's a
weird.
program that allows people to stream or produce music, but virtually. It's like an avatar. pretty
Oh,
much.
okay.
Wait, so this AI rapper, what is?
It's this rapper
Is
that's
it good?
He sounds good. Like when I say good, he sounds like what's out. He sounds like basic.
Don't say the wrong name.
No, not like who he
Oh,
sounds
okay,
like. I'm
okay,
just saying
okay.
like you wouldn't be able to be like, if you were in the club, club music these days, you wouldn't be able to say, well, that one's the AI,
Yeah.
rapper. He sounds exactly the same. Okay, so moving on.
So what is it? Is it an algorithm where they just put
It's
a
an
bunch of
algorithm.
topics on it, and then the AI
It does
analyzes it and
everything
it creates
all
its own
itself.
sound?
I think so. It's cutting edge, and they're still working on
I
it.
feel like a robot would make a beautiful music.
Honestly.
If especially if they're following some kind of pattern.
I disagree.
If they're analyzing all music from the last decade, and then sampling a sound from that,
Mm-hmm.
and you're just giving the robot like just topics to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they could probably come up with some crazy shit. Especially since most music today it's filled with metaphors now. It can be filled with so many metaphors now that you could think that they're talking. It's like Pop Smoke.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, give me a lick, whatever the case may be, and he's talking about gangbanging.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, he's
A
talking
slut,
about
give me
yeah,
lit.
yeah, everyone's talking, yeah. So I think
I
an
love
AI
that
could
shit.
probably produce something,
Oh,
and people
God, I
would
love
automatically
that song.
think that
Jeez.
they're talking about something crazy.
That's a fact.
But yeah.
Okay, so We can move on from that since nobody really seen it. Look that shit up. That shit is fucking weird. What do we feel about Kurt Franklin cussing his son clean the fuck out, and then them putting it over his actual beat with the family?
First off, Kurt Franklin said, "Stop being a bitch ass nigga," and then and then that grown ass 33-year-old turned around and then released their conversation online. That sounds like a bitch ass nigga to me. Okay.
Okay, I think the consensus, which is why Kurt Franklin is not, it turned into a joke and like a teachable moment. If anything, it wasn't really that serious. It really didn't affect. I guess his celebrity or his status. He came out and apologized, but I really just think he did it because he wanted to, just to save face. But nobody was making him apologize, and everybody was in agreement with the escalation that he made in the conversation with his son. Here's the thing. I think that's like a gateway argument, because though everybody in that conversation says, I understand why he lost his temper, and if that were me, I would have lost my temper too. But what kind of house were you raised in that is the way that you communicate?
Yeah, for sure.
That's a parent talking to a child. And no matter how...
I feel very jaded in this conversation because we come from crazy ass
I know, but that's what I'm saying.
But
I feel like it just exposed the toxicity, especially in the black community, in the way that parents speak to their children, or just how people choose to communicate in those relationships. The things that he said to his son, he should not have been threatening violence against his son. He should not...
It is his son, but now it's a grown ass man. It's not.
No,
it's not like
no,
18.
no.
And I hate when
it's
people do that.
33-year-old.
I hate
no,
when
because
that
that's
happens.
still, when you're 33 years old, that's still your father.
Yeah,
do you know the
that's
mix
the
of
thing.
emotions that goes along with that?
I hate how in the black community when you know people reach a certain age, and I'm not just talking about 18. In general, as soon as your children reach their adulthood, all of a sudden you can distance yourself from them, disrespect them, be hostile, treat them however you want. Oh, you a grown ass man now? You can handle it.
Treat them like a stranger on the
nigga,
street.
what?
Like, no,
like,
that's
bro,
toxic.
go get your fucking mental right, bro. That shit is weird.
It's not normal, and I feel like it turned into a big internet joke, and I think that's great for Kurt Franklin because it didn't affect his career at all. But I feel like the fact that I want to say, like, I ain't even gonna hold you, like just under 100% of people that heard that conversation and the way he spoke to his son, nobody was upset. Mm-hmm. Nobody was outraged. Nobody felt away. Everybody felt like, oh, that nigga can talk crazy. I'll talk crazy back.
And you know what's funny? These are the same people who say that Will Smith is a terrible father for letting Jaden be the way he is. I think Will Smith is one of the best examples of a black father. When I say black father, I mean a father that breaks the black stereotypes and norms. Because how many of people who would have a son like Jaden Smith who's out there, just wearing dresses and shit and all these crazy, fashion and stylistic choices and shit, and would straight up disown their son for that shit?
You mean like Boosie? The same nigga that let a prostitute allegedly?
There we go.
Like this, all of this shit is toxic.
I feel like as the jaded kid in many situations with me, I couldn't care less.
Exactly, but nobody was bothered by it, and I'm looking around like, y'all do know that this is not right. This is not normal.
So you think Kurt Franklin was wrong and the son holds no responsibility?
I'm not saying that. That's not exactly what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that we heard a conversation that should have never happened between father and son. Mm-hmm. If I can't communicate with AJ in a way that is constructive, but then I expect AJ to communicate with me in that parent-to-child dynamic constructively and stay respectful and stay professional and
but neither of them were professional.
It doesn't matter.
No, but as a parent, you have a role. I feel like if the only way you can communicate your criticism or frustrations with your son or daughter is by calling them a bitch-ass nigga, you got a problem.
And threatening to choke them out?
Real shit, you got a problem.
No, okay, I hear what you guys are saying.
And nobody thought it was wrong.
I think that we are looking at a very small window into that relationship.
Who cares? It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Really?
We need a higher standard.
Doesn't matter. We need a higher standard.
I have no tolerance for this. We need a higher standard for parents. And it's funny that you say this because just the other day you were screaming about parents needing to take more responsibility and be more in there. And I think this is a moment of that.
This is the moment.
As a jaded child that had to learn from not from the men in my family, but from the men in my immediate direction, which weren't many. I had to learn how to be who I am today. And I had to learn that integrity is ultimately my responsibility, and I can't rely on a parent, especially one parent that never existed in the first place.
But it shouldn't be like that.
It shouldn't. But for me, it was. So when I see another 33-year-old man, who's really essentially my age, act like a bitch ass nigga, I can understand why someone older than him would call him a bitch ass nigga.
I disagree. I don't feel, and you know what it is? It's not okay. So it's one of those things that we talked about. I can equate it back to when I looked at that white mom and her white daughter, and they were doing gymnastics, and I congratulated her and thought that was so great that she got her daughter into it so early, and she was helping her. But when I saw the black mom doing the same thing, I felt like I over-sexualized that little black girl, and that was up to me as that person witnessing that situation to understand my prejudice.
Yeah.
I am a black woman, a phenotypically looking black woman, a dark-skinned black woman, and I judge that black woman more harshly than I did a white woman. And I am closely related to that black woman and her child. That is how I would be perceived by the public. It's basically me looking in the mirror and still shitting on myself. So it's still me looking at Kurt Franklin having a conversation with his son, and then me looking around realizing that, we're in an alternate reality where everybody made it a joke. Now, I'm not saying, I think my issue with it is that I wasn't upset. My issue with it was, sometimes I get like that, but then I stopped myself in the same situation with that, that I explained with the little girl. I stopped myself and said, hell no, that's not, I don't see how it is. We should have a higher standard.
Yep.
That is not how you communicate with your children. That is not how you speak to them. I don't care what the situation is. And if you feel like you are that upset, you need to walk away.
That's how you break norms. You need to raise the standards and stop having tolerance for certain things.
Because we were all tolerant because we can understand his frustration. I'm not saying that he shouldn't have gotten that frustrated. We're human. What I am saying, if you are past the part of being constructive with your child, walk the fuck away.
Yep.
You're right. I don't have any rebuttals to that.
So we're moving on from
Motherfucking
Kurt
bars.
Sometimes kids can be assholes. No,
Facts.
Kids are assholes. Okay.
All right. No, but you're absolutely right. I understand your point now. I needed to hear it from a different angle. You're right. We should be better.
Yes.
As men who ultimately will father children, we need to be better at any point in time in their lives, regardless if they're children or an adult.
And even if you make that mistake,
I support that.
Even if you make the mistake, just understanding. I feel like a big part of the issue is that understanding that shit ain't right. Because a lot of people were just like, well, that nigga got crazy. When you talk to me crazy, I talk back to him crazy. No.
You're right. No. You're right. You are absolutely right. I ain't got no rebuttal to that. You're right.
So we're going to move on to the most deepest topic. Or, no, I don't even think it's really that deep.
What is it?
Because before I get that deep, what y'all think about them shutting down spring break in Miami? Everybody outside licking everybody and they all got the Rona. The city said, we scared. Put them in the house.
Florida sucks, bro.
Man, Florida is a cesspool of nastiness.
No, but hear me out though. Florida is also where, no matter what, there's always a video of someone fucking in the elevators. At any point in time, there's always a video of someone fucking in the elevators. So you're right. I do find it funny.
They canceled spring break because, first of all, the airlines were all pissed off at this. So it started with the airlines directly coming out against the CDC because they said the vaccine is out. Biden hit his goal 40 days early.
What airline?
A lot of people, all of them, the whole
industry.
Yeah, the industry.
Damn.
And they were saying that they're fucked up for not lifting the flight restrictions and people are getting vaccinated, blah, blah, blah. And so because it was the entire industry, people were like, oh, bet I'm going outside. This summer will see me. I will be outside. And then they saw the crowds being completely out of control. And they literally are trying to shut down spring break in Miami. I don't really think it's happening. Everybody's saying, fuck that shit. I pay my money. I'm down here.
Can we just quarantine Florida as a whole?
Like, we really should. Florida shouldn't even be in the United States of America.
Yeah, they need to be their own separate.
That's Florida, bro. I love Florida.
I don't want a passport to go to Florida.
Don't go to Florida. Just don't go to Florida.
I continue to visit Florida when I want to.
Just don't.
Florida is absolutely trash. So now it's the most really, really sad story. Before we talk about Super Street, we're going to talk about Asian hate.
Man, that shit.
Stop it.
It's crazy.
Yeah, but it's not a hate crime because he was going through a sexual addiction and he just had a really, really, really bad day.
I think it's crazy how there's so many Asians in America who kind of take pride in that model minority status that white people have given them.
Oh my God!
And
yes.
now that they're starting to see that, because I mean, I'm sure not to tell you guys how racist Asians can be, but
not as much these days. Yes, what you're
No, not
talking
as much
about
these days.
back in like the Rodney King days.
There
and after
is a known
yeah,
there's a known stigma of anti-blackness in the Asian community.
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
100%.
Yeah.
So I think now that the same people who gave them that model minority status they're seeing that they don't give a fuck about you either, because
Exactly.
you're a minority too, pal. Which is something that I've been trying to tell. Or not, I've been trying to tell the Asian community, but something that the black community has been trying to tell the Asian community, like, hey, you're a minority too,
But
and they'll turn
I
against
think
you.
secretly they knew that, but because again they were pitted above blacks, it was okay.
Exactly.
And that's
And they were
usually
okay
how
with it.
any community
That's
is.
how every community
As long
is.
as you're
except
above black
when
people,
they're in
it's
the
okay.
proximity to whiteness and being, and even like that's how people have advertised your station in society, and then people being okay with accepting it, right? Where you're like, well, at least you're not black,
Yep.
and they're like, you know what?
Facts.
I like the way you think.
And that's what they did with
That's
with the
fine.
Irish and Italians. They were
Yeah.
like, hey, y'all not white, but y'all not black, so pull up to these factories real
Yeah.
quick. We'll get these
So-
job opportunities.
And people were okay with it. So
Yeah.
I mean, you're seeing the direct consequences of those things. So I just feel like
It sucks a lot though,
it's
especially because it's
really
nothing
sad.
new. In fact, this is
nothing
nothing.
new.
It's not like there's a rise in Asian hate crime. It's just a magnifying glass on it now.
It is
this
a
has always
magnifying
been
glass.
a thing. Like, white people have been racist to everybody.
First of all, are we gonna talk about the fact that we put them in internment camps? Like, I know they always talk about Auschwitz and oh my God, like and all that terrible stuff that happened during the Holocaust. But do we not remember that there were concentration camps in California? Like, did we all forget?
No, it wasn't
Every
California. It was in
minority-
the entire
Every
Midwest.
single
see?
minority has been through an extremely large scale traumatic experience in America at the hands of white people.
Facts.
So I think now that
Facts.
this Asian hate, of course it's an awful thing, but I think it's good that it's being more widespread now. And I'm seeing a lot of people.
It's funny because we know as being black that model minority was a way to still push the anti-black propaganda.
for sure.
Yeah.
But how they made that a thing amongst other communities was to be more of a ratifying, rite of passage per se,
Yeah.
because of the internment camps. So
Mm-hmm.
they, it's a dual-edged sword. They from a white supremacist standpoint, they push to the Asians, hey, be our model minority because
Not just
you are better than
Yeah.
the blacks, and then they turn around and to the blacks
But
was
it's also
Why
like
can't
your
you be like the
tormentor
Asians?
becomes your
Correct,
savior. It's like your tormentor becomes your savior
Exactly,
because it's like
exactly.
they're like, okay, we're gonna let you get out of this and like our bad, but if you guys remain docile, which is why it's so widely spread how docile Asians are, and they're actually really not that docile. They're very like
no, they stick to themselves.
they stick to themselves, but they're
silence
very,
is compliancy.
They're taught to
They're-
mind
they're-
their business and do their
compliance.
best.
but they're like, if you guys don't trip off of the shit that we did because it's an embarrassment, we literally just went over there and fucked up all the Germans for what the fuck they did to Jewish people. So if y'all chill the fuck out, we'll let you guys in.
I really hope that this kind of brings more Asian people of color over to.
I think so. I think it definitely. You don't think so?
Not because I don't want to frame it as like it's not minorities versus white people, obviously.
No, absolutely
But
not. It's
I
racist
do
against
hope-
everybody.
Exactly.
It's against
I do
racism.
Period.
hope that because there's a lot of, and I've seen this personally, there's a lot of Asian people who kind of just think that race issues and race relations are just not their problem. It's not their business.
Facts. They do
And
feel
I
like
hope that this happening, as awful as it is, I hope it kind of shows them, hey man, you're at the end of the day, no matter what minority status you have, you're still a minority in America.
Facts.
So
And if you want this to, if you want your community to be better, if you want to feel better, and all of these things that have to do with any of the things that we just discussed, I think that we have to stick together as minorities, but I feel like that's also a very fragile message, and I don't think that we should take it to heart. I think it should just fucking be everybody against racism.
it is 100%.
Period.
Yeah,
Like
it should be.
100%.
You're gonna ask somebody to give up their status and position
That's above somebody else.
Well, yeah,
that's hard.
Yeah, while we're still in a system of white supremacy.
Right, it's hard.
So it's easy to give up your system when white supremacy
when you're low on the totem pole.
Well,
with stuff like this
white
happening,
supremacy isn't prevalent in your life, it's easy to give it up. But when white supremacy literally runs just about every aspect of your life, you're going to ask somebody to give up their status when their status may not be that much higher than someone else's. No.
That's what I'm saying. With the stuff that's happening now, that's what I'm saying. I hope that, because before, like Shauna was saying, the white people would, pretty much leave them alone. But now with, the Chinese virus and, all the hate to the Asian community that Trump is directing and Republicans in general with the coronavirus and everything and all these hate crimes coming out against Asians, I'm hoping that they'll see that at the end of the day, to white supremacists, you may be a model minority, but you're still a minority, and they'll knock you off just as fast as they knock off any other minority. So I'm hoping that will kind of make them see, like, oh, okay,
it's still
maybe
hard.
I should pay a little bit more attention to race relations and social injustice and whatnot.
And that's true. It's true, and I think that's a good faith to have. Like, that's throwing in some good faith in there. But I think it's closer to Armand's side. I feel honestly like,
you think even with this happening, they still
even
won't
with this happening, they are still more better off than black people.
Well,
and it's easy when you're on this totem pole, right? Because you're thinking about it. Think about, like, who's at the top of this hierarchy and who is at the bottom. It is okay. That's why they bring up black people with every freaking social anything that happens. They bring up black people because we are at the lowest part of the totem pole, and they compare things to us because that is their scale of awfulness or your scale of injustice.
Yep.
Is it worse than what's happening to the blacks?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yes, people died. Yes, they're getting a lot of racist attacks towards their community. All trash. But as a whole, they are allowed into certain parts of society that black people can only dream of.
Mm-hmm.
So to ask them to give that up or to dismantle it from being inside of it and make it more uncomfortable for them, it's a hard thing to sell.
Well, I wouldn't even look at it. I don't even look as far as what other minorities do. I look at it just within the black community. There's black people that we probably know personally that will not help to dismantle white supremacy if given the opportunity to. Case in point, I think the most famous example was Lil Wayne. With all his money, with all his resources, it was, well, they never called me a nigga. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever.
A cop helped him out one time.
Yeah, his daughter is the difference between him, his daughter and other black women is that she
got money.
Yep. Yeah. So just what I see from our own community, mm-hmm. I'm never gonna look to another race of minorities to stand for me, because my own people won't. I do think it's up to the individual, though, and as hopeful as you are, I think
a lot of the people, I would say probably 25 and younger, are going to be the ones to fucking change this shit, because you see that hope. Yeah. That hope is tangible. And it's working.
Listen, I think people should have hope, but I also think that it has to be within the black community first before anything, because we know that white supremacy is on a scale and we're at the bottom of it. It's the bottom of that tower that needs to rise up.
Well, yeah, because it's usually
every single black person would need to have that ultra sense of responsibility to dismantle white supremacy, because white supremacy is not going to do it in itself, and anyone that's within white supremacy or benefits from white supremacy is never going to help us to get rid of that. So I do think it's going to have to be from black people. It's going to have to be it's going to have to be us to hold each other accountable and move up that ladder and break it down after every step.
Well, that shit was heavy as hell, and that shit was sad, and I think it was sad, and I had put some stuff out on social media because I have a little platform, so I said something, but also
you've been growing it. You've been growing your little platform quickly.
Yeah, I know.
Quickly.
So it's just I said something, and I think the thing that stood out the most to me is that I kept saying in the comments, like or saying in the DMs to Asian creators, like, I've seen that before. I've seen that in my house when that guy knelt on George Floyd's neck. I saw that in Dave Chappelle when he did that, that skit.
Special.
I'm seeing on them that stain, that stench, how it feels. And it's like, and I said that so many times to them, like, I see you, and I see that pain. And that's the only thing I could compare it to. How it wasn't just one of those things where you were pissed off, or something happens and like an unarmed black, we saw it that time. And to hear my mom cry over the phone, or to just Lonnie shed a tear. Lonnie, when I talked to Lonnie about George Floyd, and she was got hoarse, and it made everybody feel away. So when I saw that, the only thing that I could compare what I see them exhibiting online is that type of pain. So I'm like, bruh, I know.
Yeah. No, I mean the whole incident is
fucking awful.
Beyond unfortunate, and awful. It sucks that people in uniform get on TV and call it a bad day or a struggle with sex addiction as if there wasn't choices made to do what happened. How quickly people don't label domestic terrorism or hate crime for what it is, because that's exactly what it is. It was a hate crime.
Yeah, it was.
When all 8 victims of our one race, and then 6 of those victims, 6 out of 8, 80% of them, or 75, I think, whatever the ratio is also of women. Yeah. It's a sex crime. Not sex crime. But I think geared towards hate because it's against mainly women.
But here's the thing, though, and then that's a thing that's kind of throwing them up in arms, because I've been seeing that a lot from Asian creators, where they're like, bro, this is a sex crime from different angles. Like, we qualify for this at different points in the law because it's against religion, it's against ethnicity, it's against gender, like, sexual orientation, and we qualify on that on several different fronts, and y'all still not doing it. But what people don't know is that you needed to be labeled like that in order for resources to be distributed to counteract it, right? So it's not just about calling it a hate crime and making people feel better. When you say things like, when your governor declares a state of emergency, they don't do it for the shits and giggles. They do it so that the National Guard can go in, emergency funds get released. When you put certain things and label it a certain way, things get released to help that problem. Exactly. So that's why they want it to be like that, for there to be education, for there to be, like, say no to drugs, those fucking commercials, and DARE. That's what this shit came from, the war on drugs. When you call something a problem, when you call it an emergency, there's government and federal funds that are released to help counteract that. Yeah. They can't get none of that shit if you won't even call it what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And and then on top of that, at least what I've been seeing, just a little bit of the hate online, is the labeling of, these establishments as sex worker shops. When, granted, there could be some business, but the idea that it is solely based off of it being, because of the victims of Asian descent, it automatically gets labeled as a sex shop or sex working establishment.
But that goes to being the perfect victim. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be fucking held up to Jesus Christ himself for anybody to feel bad for you. I don't care if they were sex workers.
Yeah, I hate that shit.
I don't care.
No.
I hate that shit so much.
I don't care what they did.
You're absolutely right, but there's people online trying to write that as an excuse, just like how they wrote it off that what Mike Brown was over 6 when he was over 6
big. He was too big, and he was scary.
But they did it with George Floyd. Like, he did this so and so, or he was in porn before, so it's like, what?
So
what does that have to do with the Team China?
Just everything. I think it just takes an extra bit of hateful, just hatefulness to even look at 8 people dead. All of look at this hate crime and then say, oh well, it's okay because that establishment wasn't the best. They weren't doing anything for the kids, kind of deal. You know what I'm saying? It's awful. It's disgusting. So it just needs to be labeled the way. It needs to be labeled as a hate crime, as it should be, and people need to be open to the idea that white supremacy doesn't just affect black people; it affects everyone.
It does.
Not just us, but everyone. And I think that this will absolutely lead to those conversations, and we'll also have the ability to stop comparing our traumas to one another, and just realize that trauma is trauma, and not all trauma is necessary.
But
you don't have to live life being within a constant state of trauma
and a constant state of fear. We stopped walking because of George Floyd. Like, we stopped going outside because we live in a predominantly white neighborhood, and we're scared.
That's true.
Like, just straight up scared. And I see a lot of the creators saying the same thing. Like, yo, I don't, I order my mom's groceries. Thank God that I have this platform and I make money on the internet, because I am afraid of my elderly Asian dad going to the store. I'm terrified. So they're feeling that fear now, which I feel like it probably could help. And this could probably get it into the right direction, because now it's not just black people that's scared to go outside. They're scared to go outside too.
Yeah, and it wasn't even like just being afraid to go outside. It was go outside in a pandemic, and you just, because we're closely by it, it takes one officer to walk by us and just say, well, where's your mask at? Nigga, we're walking. We shouldn't have to have a mask if we're not around anybody. Mm-hmm. But me paying attention to the law knew that in the state of Pennsylvania, you're actually, at least according to the Department of Health, you should have a mask on whether you're inside or out, regardless of the fact.
Yeah.
Is it enforced? No.
No, it's not enforced, but it could be.
Knowing my luck, it would be the one time that I decided to take my fat ass for a walk, the way I would get stopped by a cop. And it just so happened, it happened the other day. I was driving, and
my car.
I was driving Shauna's car, wasn't speeding, wasn't doing anything illegal, nothing. Still get pulled over.
Really?
So still got pulled over, still ran the plates and everything else. And even though it wasn't an issue, and the guy, he just gave us a warning to get the registration taken care of. It just goes to show just how quickly you can be minding your own business, and they will insert themselves into your life.
Because what would be the purpose to run the plate, right? Because usually there's some type of
speeding. I wasn't.
But you forget, I took the police exam.
Mm-hmm.
I was recruited by FHP, Florida Highway Patrol. So I know a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. You have to be suspicious in some type of way.
Yep.
There's a reason, whether you're speeding, like you said, whether they say that you don't have a light on, whether you're busted tail light, whether you changed lanes and it's a solid line. There's something that you did that would alert them, and then they check your plate, or whatever the case may be. There's no reason to that's harassment, by the way, in case you didn't know. Just because you have a freaking laptop in your thing and access to driving records does not mean that you should misappropriate government funds like that to just be running random ass plates of law-abiding citizens on the fucking road. That's not how any of that works.
Yeah, and Pennsylvania don't have, like in Florida, they have the sticker when your registration expires on your tag. They don't have that here. They don't have that in Pennsylvania. So literally, they have to actually run your plate. And as soon as I turned the corner out the parking lot, he was already behind me, and we got all the way to the ShopRite before he decided to pull me over. That's what, at least 3.5 miles, 4 miles. So he followed me for all the 4 miles just to then decide, I'm gonna run his plates. Not speeding. Didn't have my seatbelt off.
Didn't do anything.
None of that. So didn't even change lanes. So it's just I do hope that this incident shows people that white supremacy affects you. It doesn't matter how light you are. It doesn't matter what ethnicity you are. Just because you're not black doesn't mean that you don't get affected by white supremacy on an everyday basis. And the fact that it took this to happen for you to realize that it affects you in a negative light. Speaks volumes, and I hope that as a whole we can come together and dismantle white supremacy as it stands.
What was you gonna say, Vic?
I hope so too. No, I was just saying with the cop thing. I mean, you put boredom plus authority, it's bound for shit like that to happen.
Yeah, and it happens all the time. It happens all the time.
No reason. And like I said, as a citizen, you wouldn't necessarily know that. I would not have known that had I not briefly thought about being a cop and had that avenue available to me because of my military service. I would not have known that cops are not just supposed to run your plate. There needs to be a reason. You don't just do that.
And they get bored, so go around patrolling low income neighborhoods or harassing people.
That's literally harassment. So
all
right.
You
want to segue into the last little topic?
What's the last little topic?
Super straight.
Let me talk.
Straight.
As the big progressive lefty here. Let me just say how much I hate these super straight motherfuckers, bro.
Why?
With a passion, bro.
Why?
So I understand what the concept of super straight means.
I don't know.
But what's the history behind this?
I don't know.
Like
it's
this
came out
little
of
lame
nowhere.
ass, bitch ass little bitch boy on TikTok made this video talking about.
Was it TikTok?
It was, of course.
I saw it on TikTok, but I didn't know it originated there. I thought it originated from Twitter.
So it originated off 4chan.
Okay.
Not 4chan.
It was made by legitimate Nazis. It was made by people who identify as Nazis. It's a Nazi thing. All right. It's transphobic as fuck. Here's the issue. So super straight, for those who don't know, is a sexuality of people who are not just straight, but they're super straight, meaning that they're only attracted to cis women. Cis women being people who are born women. Right?
Assigned women.
Assigned female at birth, right?
There.
Here's the issue with that. If you do not want to sleep with a trans woman, right, simply because you are not attracted to either her more masculine features, or maybe she has a penis and you don't want to sleep with a woman with a penis, that's fine, right? That's not transphobia. That's simply your preference. If you sleep with a trans woman who you cannot tell she is trans, and then after you sleep with her, you find out she's trans and then it's a problem, that is transphobia. If you cannot tell and there is no issue with you sleeping with her, why is it an issue when you find out she's trans? If you don't want to sleep with her simply for the fact that she's trans, that's literally transphobia. All right? And that's the difference. What they do is they try to frame it as a preference. They try to say, oh, I'd just rather be with a cis woman. No, you don't, bitch.
So it's safe to say that these super straight guys are sleeping with passable trans women, and then being upset about it.
And they're scared to be called gay by other bigots, or they just transphobic. Yeah, and it's funny because sadly, my friends are not too bright. They're like, I think it's stupid, but at the same time, isn't it just a preference? And I had to legitimately spend like an hour or two trying to get them to understand the issue. Like, well, I just don't want to sleep with a man. Okay. It's not a man. That's the thing. If you're able to sleep with them in the first place, you had no issue with it. Mm. You finding out that they were trans, and I asked him, I said, so then why don't you want to sleep with them? Well, because they're born a man. I said, it's literally transphobia. If you're able to sleep with them and then all of a sudden you think it's gross or you want to hurt them or you regret it now because they're trans, that's literally transphobia. You didn't have an issue before.
But that goes back to our conversation we had in Discussion of Power, mm-hmm. where I said, as a man, we're very simple most of the time, and we say we are attracted to ass and titties. So if people have an ass and titty, mm-hmm. and you're attracted to that, then more than likely, if that's just a simple criteria, more than likely you would probably be attracted to a trans woman because they have ass and titties. Mm-hmm. So
they try to act like they're attracted to cis women. Like, you're not attracted to her ovaries. You're not attracted to her uterus or the fact that she can.
You're attracted to her aesthetic.
Exactly.
And therefore, if you're attracted to the aesthetic, that puts your ass in murky ass waters, mm-hmm. because that aesthetic can be very much so achieved, especially now it being so open. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, if Dwayne Wade's daughter decides to go through with the entire transition and starting hormones this early before puberty, mm-hmm. you will never be able to tell.
Yeah, she's going to be very passing easily.
Yeah.
Never be able to tell.
How do you feel about that, Shamar?
About Dwayne Wade's daughter?
No, about the
Wait, is she? Oh.
Just super straight.
Are you super straight?
Are you super straight, Shamar?
I'm just super chill.
Super chill. Hold it.
You know, resident cool guy.
Like, what the hell? Shamar first of all, he's just here for you guys to understand that there's 4 people here, okay? Mm-hmm. Shamar's just here to, like, have good conversation and occasionally tell us that he's enjoying working in his stocks.
Okay, so let me pick your brain then. So let's start hypothetical here. Let's say
no.
Look. All right, so let's hypothetically. Let's say you come out with us to my birthday, right?
No.
And you meet a nice little shawty at the club, right? And you hit it off. You end up sleeping with her a night of passion, right? You're talking about it for weeks. You're like, bro, man, I got this. You're like, man, I got this. I got this baddie, man. It was crazy. And then, let's say you see her on Facebook 2 weeks later, and you find out that she's a trans woman, but you slept with her and everything. Is it a problem now? Will you cut off communications with this person now that you know that they're trans?
There's no right or wrong answer, because
in my opinion, I'll just be like, damn. And I'll just be like, I don't know, just move on.
Just move on? So you're not going to continue
relationship? So you want to pursue it?
Really super chill.
Yeah, Shamar's like, I'm not going to pursue it. No harm, no foul.
No,
So you wouldn't pursue the relationship then?
Nah, again, man, you shouldn't be having sex without having a conversation first. So,
well, first of all, that whole scenario is just something I would never ever do. Just like from the start.
Me being in a club and partying, never.
Drinking the alcohol, the devil's juice,
It's
never.
not hypothetical, okay? So if you found out that they were trans, would you continue to pursue a relationship with this person, or at least a consistent line of communication?
Oh, that's fine. But romantic?
Yeah.
Probably.
Would you stop the romance because they're trans?
Yeah.
That's not bad. That's
That's
not bad.
it is bad.
No, it's not
yes, it is.
bad.
Uncle Monty here, kids. If you're having sex with somebody, you need to have a discussion first. Don't be out here just sleeping with people just because you want to bust a nut.
What's the
have
discussion?
a conversation first.
What's the discussion?
No,
The
discussion
conversation
needs to happen,
is 1, consent, 2, likes and dislikes, and 3.
My best friend's a porn star, so like.
The 2 of mine are as well.
And
Well,
she,
technically
like,
4, but
you're allowed to like go in and look at people's genitalia. Like their shit is like really like very open. It's
But
great.
you need to consent, likes, dislikes. Y'all need to discuss that. And if one of your dislikes, if one of your preferences, you know what? Honestly, I'm not comfortable with sleeping with someone that was assigned at birth as a man. It's your right to say, hey,
fuck that.
It's okay.
We're not engaging in any kind of sexual activity.
Bullshit, nigga.
We're not gonna engage.
Victor, what are you
We're not
doing?
gonna engage in any sexual activity. Period.
Victor,
Well, I'm
what
sliding.
That's your right.
If I
That-
couldn't
that's your
tell,
right.
if I couldn't
That's your
tell,
right.
and I slept with you already, there's
That
what's
is
the
that
problem?
person's right. That is that
It's
person's right.
transphobia.
Listen, I also don't
It's-
want to have sex with someone that has visible shit on their ass. So like that's.
And
So
here's my other
we
issue
have
with
a
this.
conversation.
A lot of people try to make a lot of different, like for example, my friend tried to use AIDS as an example. Oh, somebody should tell me if
You
they have
should
AIDS,
absolutely
right?
talk
And I'm
about
like,
Yes.
STIs.
but here's the difference. Transphobia is not a fucking disease. All right.
It's not.
So let's stop
It's
making
not.
these stupid ass comparisons.
It's not, but it's also a price. So, I mean, if that was the case, then you would openly have sex with people who have STIs.
Look. Like I said,
The
it's
idea
not
of having
comparison.
discussion
It's a
is so that two
non-comparison.
people can come together and agree on the terms and conditions
you-
of that moment.
if you link
And
up with
someone
somebody-
says, hey, you know what? Because of this, I'm not okay with it. I don't want to consent to sex with you. That doesn't make you a homophobe. That actually makes you.
That's transphobia. That's like me going with a girl and be like, hey, by the way, can I see your ancestry? If you happen to have more than 10% black, I really don't want to. So that's fucking racist. It's the same thing with transphobia. Hey, by any chance, were you born a man? I can't really tell. Were you born a man?
It could
'Cause if so,
absolutely be
then
I
racist.
think
It could
fucking
absolutely be
transphobia.
it could
racism.
be racist and it could
But-
be
it's just so
transphobia.
normalized. You guys can just say, well,
But-
it's just a preference. It should be okay.
But
no, it's
if
not.
a white woman said, "I don't want to sleep with you because you're too dark for me," that's cool. And I also know that I need to cut
You're
her and
fucking
everyone else,
racist.
and anyone else associated with her out of my life completely.
Look.
That is so extreme. Why are you
That's how I
doing
am,
this?
though.
Look, no,
You know
I'm fucking
that.
racist.
You
I'm
know
sorry,
this.
that shit.
Yeah,
no,
you know that.
Here's
I will cut
here's
her
the
and everyone
difference.
else around it.
I'm not saying you have to sleep with trans people. I'm just saying it is transphobic for you to refuse to sleep with someone because they're trans. Now, like I said, if you don't want to sleep with her because she happens to have very masculine features and you're not attracted to that, or if she hasn't had her bottom surgery and she still has a penis, that's fine. That's okay. There's a legitimate reason there.
But the question is, in that same scenario, what is Victor doing?
I'm fucking.
Alright. That's your choice.
That's fine.
I just
Like,
know
again?
people.
Yes.
He said again.
If
He
she's
said
bad,
again.
if
Bitch
she's
is like,
bad.
yeah, buddy.
All right,
Hey,
here's
listen,
my
listen.
question to you. What's the issue? If she's bad and I'm
Go get
attracted to
water.
her and I'm able to sleep with her, what's the
Because
issue?
this super straight is spicy.
I guess the issue
Where you
just comes
going?
like
To get a
for your
drink of water.
conscience.
It's
It's
What
like-
conscience though?
It's
Because,
spicy.
well, for a man, like sleeping with another man, or
And here's my thing.
it's just like
You are so terrified of other bigots calling you gay. First of all, it doesn't make you gay. Second of all, sexuality is a spectrum. Third of all, again, it's a woman. You were attracted to her enough to sleep with her.
First of all, also like a little bit of science. Typically, if a trans woman is passable, like there is a higher level of testosterone that's a thing, but mostly like if you were to draw my blood and draw a trans woman blood that is like been on hormones and like has transitioned, because people say transition and they don't actually look, words mean things.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to have a certain amount of hormone count to be considered transition, just like AIDS and HIV, they're different. So if you were to test my cisgender assigned female at birth with a trans woman that's on hormones, have been on hormones, and has transitioned, we would look the same. under the microscope, like in science.
I mean, my point
Listen,
is that at the end of the day, you can sleep with who you want to sleep with, but just understand that if you're not willing to sleep with someone simply because of how they identify,
it's an individual
that is
preference.
a definition of transphobia.
To have discussions and talk about it. Consent, negotiate, likes and dislikes, and preferences. It should be a discussion.
But that's still transphobia.
Okay.
All right.
Well, maybe that person
By
can
definition.
be there. Yeah, but then maybe that person can be on their own little. Listen, if we gonna let Lil Wayne have 6 dreads, look like a rat, and still only say he date white women, we can let somebody say that if you are not assigned female at birth, because of societal norms and my lack of education, I'm just not down with it right now. I think that's okay. Everybody's on a road to.
I think in order to change norms,
no one's gonna force me to sleep. No one's gonna force me to sleep with them.
Obviously
so
not.
if I say nah, I'm not having sex with you, I probably don't even have to give you a reason. Just the same way how women don't hold men in.
And again, that's not my
I'm not
point.
giving you a
My
reason.
point is just that
But
it's
I do know that if
transphobic.
I ask you the question,
I think you're right.
If
It
I
is
ask you the
transphobic.
question,
By definition, you're right.
It's literally transphobia, and that's all my point. I'm not saying you have to go out there and start sleeping with trans women. I'm not saying that you don't have a right to say no if somebody is a trans woman. My point is that it's legitimate transphobia.
Your
and
whole
the super
point
straights
is
are
to-
saying that it's not.
So
That's my issue.
so your whole point is saying, like, you don't want it convoluted. You want words to mean things, and you want to make sure you know that you're transphobic and that you're okay with that. But you're not gonna be transphobic.
Well, I'm not okay with I'll beat your ass. But the point, I just want you to know that it is transphobic.
I'm not gonna beat your ass. Okay. So, because what I'm saying is, like, you're like, if you're gonna be a wolf, be a wolf. If you're gonna be a sheep, but don't you dare put on sheep's, fucking fur.
Exactly.
Coming through as a wolf. Don't try to cover it up.
It's a new sexuality.
Yeah,
Don't
it's
try
not
to
a
say
thing.
we're part of the LGBT. No, you're not. You're just transphobic. And I think in order to change norms like this, people need to push back. I don't think that we should be able to say, well, it's okay because
No,
because
you're right.
nothing's ever going to change if we
concur.
keep saying things are okay. But it's coming from an extreme leftist, so.
You changed it.
I have to. All right,
that was it.
so moral of the story is super straight. It
By
is not a real
definition,
thing.
he's not a real thing.
It's not a real
And
thing.
by definition,
And
is transphobic.
If
'Cause
you
it
have
was
friends that
deconstructed.
identify as super straight, you should get new friends.
No, that's not what we're saying.
Please
That's too
cut off
much.
your friends if your friends are racist and
Oh my
homophobic
God.
and stuff. You can't be friends with a
I
racist.
highly disagree with shit like that.
Why?
Because I come from a part of, like, because I've been in a weird place where I'm a black woman, but I'm also a Caribbean woman, so I'm seen as, like, exotic to white men or whatever. Shit is weird. But every time that I've ever encountered somebody that I genuinely feel is racist, it's usually through a lack of education, and when we throw them away, it doesn't make them less racist or not racist anymore, just makes them racist over there. And if you're trying to get it to go away, if you could just start that conversation and get somebody on that road.
So I think
it's a little bit
In the
better.
words of Amanda Seale, I'm not spending the time to educate.
No,
you at this point.
absolutely, and no, and you've heard me say that straight up. Like, I have literally said in videos, I am the black friend that will explain things to you. I am the black friend that will allow you to ask questions. I am the black friend that will allow you to poke and prod me in the way in a safe space.
Mm-hmm.
Please do not ever think that the conversations that I have with you, that other black people have to have those conversations with you or entertain you in that same way. They do not have to. I choose to.
Mm-hmm.
As a black person, I am not speaking for all blacks.
So my thing is, I think it's very easy to tell when, especially because I speak to so many racists on the daily, I think it's extremely easy to tell when somebody is racist through sheer hate or because that's what they're taught versus when somebody's racist simply because they don't know better, right? I think it's very easy to tell because I actually have folders and tabs and bookmarks saved with all, conservatives' favorite thing is evidence. I have mountains of evidence on racial disparity and social injustice and socioeconomic issues that disproportionately affect black people. And I easily link them to that. I remember I sent this dude 18 different pieces of evidence to support my arguments, and he still believes he still believes that white people are mistreated in America more than minorities.
I'll give you an example, though, because I kind of want to push back on that. So I went to BOC, that sergeant school that I went to.
Yeah.
All right. And I went to BOC with the son of a Klansman. And
He's still alive?
His dad is still alive.
Is he still alive too? The son?
Yeah, both of them.
Huh.
All of them. So he tells that on when we were getting to know each other, because he says, you know, a lot of white people or a lot of kids that chose to get out of that environment, they keep it a secret and they never tell anyone. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't explain. And so he always says, I lead with that because I kind of want you to know where I'm coming from. And so I remember him kind of like feeling like he's not racist anymore, but you can tell that he definitely still has prejudices because, you know, he's coming from that background. And I remember when I was with Frazier, Armand, you're very familiar with him, and he doesn't mind me saying his name. I ask him all the time. That is a soldier that felt like, he's a white soldier, I felt like he was being discriminated against by a black leader.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely fucking agreed, and I helped him make that complaint.
Mm-hmm.
That same Klansman's son took me to the side and said that was the day that he's like, this taught me something that even though I thought I still, you know, I thought I had moved past a lot of the things that I was taught in my childhood, this really showed me something because you're black, that leader's black, there's not a lot of black leaders, and instead of looking the other way because of his injustice, you still took the side of what's right. So he's like, that means that I got to step up my game and I got to be better. Not because I'm not hurting black people doesn't mean that I'm not harmful to what we're trying to achieve. And watching you do that to a black leader and having that integrity across the board and not looking the other way because he's black, a leader, you know, that's unheard of, you know.
But that's not being friends with a racist.
But he literally is not. He's one of those people that's like, well, I'm away from my clan family and I don't currently like look out for and try to harm black people, therefore I'm not racist. He said that is not it.
So
I just don't interact with many black people because one, I don't have to, and two, me thinking that is suffice. That will suffice for me not being a part of the problem. But he said, if I'm honest, if I had to choose between a white leader doing something, I would look the other way. He's like, I have no problem saying that about myself.
Okay, so that right there, that little point of information there, that would cause me to
He said he would not have done what I did.
Okay, see, that would not, that right there, that piece of information there would cause me to not fuck with that person anymore.
Because he's like, when I saw you do that, that let me know that I have way more work to do. Because I would not have done that. I have a lot of tolerance.
Like, I have no, so I have a lot of tolerance when it comes to people, right? But when it comes to certain topics, like, for example, if somebody's racist or homophobic or something like that, there are certain things that I just have no tolerance for. And I feel like that tolerance that you have is the reason why, is a large reason why so much racism and blatant racism is allowed to exist today. Because so many people will just tolerate it.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair to say. But I feel like that person would have never had that conversation with anyone. He would have just kept that shit to himself, which is the problem. The secrecy is the problem. You know what I'm saying? Him saying, if that was flipped around, I would not have done that. And to see that you made that choice and quote unquote went against your own kind in respects to being right, what was right, having integrity. I knew that staying away from black people and not hurting them like my family chooses to do, I was different. But I'm not different. I just took myself out of that equation. That don't mean I'm helping.
I can see what you're saying.
And I was like, if I can help you get to the other side of that, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. For you to look at what I did from outside of it and be like, fuck. If that was me, I wouldn't have did that shit. Okay, and then realizing it was a problem.
If they acknowledge, all right, so maybe I misunderstood.
He acknowledged
if he's saying that he acknowledges it, and he's also saying that he is going to start.
He wants to start
critically looking at himself when it comes to race relations.
I still feel
I can fuck with that. That's fine.
He's trying to learn.
Okay, I can fuck with that because I love educating people when it comes to stuff like this or just in general.
But he was scared, and it was all in the class talks where I had made it clear about making fun of like how I'm that black friend. I'm that black friend where you're safe.
Please, if you're not black, if you have black friends, don't be afraid to have conversations with this like them. You can't have them with everybody. But you also shouldn't assume that you can't have them with anybody.
That is responsible for teaching you. I choose to take a teaching role in race relations. That does not have to be a black person's choice because they are fucking traumatized. Please leave them alone. They're
I shouldn't have to teach you why slavery still affects us today.
But stop.
Yeah,
I don't mind it.
For example, even that Kirk Franklin thing, that is rooted in slavery.
Yeah.
Do you know why black people started talking to their kids crazy?
Oh yeah.
Because if you made the kid look like an invalid or just degenerate in front of the master, they would be less likely to be sold.
Oh yeah.
So if you
Beating
said no,
our
he's
kids,
giving me problems.
so many aspects of the black household are rooted in slavery.
Period.
Yeah, for sure.
Because if you make the master just think like this person is just ruining his life, he's just a step above death, he's not going to be looking into seeing what he could get for your child. So everything is rooted in that past.
Yeah.
For sure.
Does anybody want to rant? Because we can close it up.
Question
Question.
for you two.
Sure.
Oh, God, no.
How do you feel about Aries season starting today?
Hey, I'm on demon time, right? It's my birthday. I'm turning 21.
Holy time?
No, I'm on demon time, nigga.
Holy time,
Up
nigga.
until I leave June, let's just say I'm catching bodies, nigga.
Well, now that we know what you're into.
I'm on demon time. Hey, Pogs, watch out. I'm on demon time. That's all I'm saying.
Nah, I think we might have to go to what was it, Atlantic City?
These views are getting ran up.
So
We going wherever.
Way more ran
I'm
up
going
than I
crazy.
thought.
yo, I think I got a little bit to rant about. I feel like I already did it. I feel like last week or the last podcast we did.
With coping. We were all sucking, man.
Yeah.
Life was
I
bad.
really went hard on that whole Beyonce thing, and the internet be getting me. That's the problem, man. I don't like the internet.
Yeah, the internet. First of all, then you couldn't even be. Do you know the type of shit that people say to me on TikTok, especially now that they're like actively trying to get my attention so that I could like go off on them? Man, they call me
That's because
everything
you
but
are
the child of God.
engaging them.
You know what's funny? That Beyonce thing, if someone did that to Chloe Bailey, I would snap like that too. So.
No, listen, I feel like that too about her too. Like I almost got to a point to where I just like every episode our screen our like the what was it, the thumbnail for YouTube, I feel like it should just be pictures of Haley Berry. Chloe Bailey. Like
She fine as hell. I ain't gonna lie.
No cap.
No, cause okay, so I have a thing about following like famous people on TikTok because I did it all on Instagram. So I'm like, I refuse. I'm only following people that I like, small people like that I actually can engage with. I'm not following celebrities. Their page are fucking public. I don't need to follow them.
Yeah.
Right. So I follow her.
yeah, I follow.
She's so damn fine.
It's a necessity.
on all
She's so
platforms.
damn fine.
Twitter,
I follow her
Facebook.
everywhere she go.
If she got a MySpace, I'm probably following her.
And no, I'm not just a horn dog. I actually do like what she's doing with her whole
Absolutely.
self-love and body
He hasn't
positivity
listened.
thing.
He hasn't listened to Godly Hour
I
yet.
think she has a song.
Ungodly hours.
Oh, she
the
does
whole
have a song with her
CD.
sister,
The whole
right?
CD.
Yeah, but she's been doing covers
Yeah.
on TikTok. She's been going back to her roots on TikTok and doing covers.
Yeah, she's a really good singer.
Oh
actually.
my god!
I think I saw a clip on
I think
Twitter.
I like her covers. Like I think the because her sister's filming and she's got some stuff going on too. So they got some like stuff they're not recording right now.
Yeah.
But she's been doing covers and I've been getting my life. So she's producing them because she produces, right? So she's remaking the beats, kind of making them like acoustic,
Yeah.
and then singing over them. But she's clearly telling you what song she's covering.
Oh, so she's fun. She can produce and she can sing and
She
she's
does
a
the
phenomenal
whole
actress.
thing.
Wait, and she's
You're
what the-
missing.
What does she not do?
She's everything in life. Like
Oh my
Not
god.
talk to me. That's the only thing she's not
Facts. The
doing.
only thing
is
you do is not
talking to me.
DM me back. Next, open my DM, man. Wrote you a really nice paragraph.
she will go and I don't think this is a cover.
I saw that one.
But she's actually she'll do this to it. She'll remake it like acoustically.
She got a whole setup.
And after she remakes it acoustically, that's when she'll come on and cover it.
She got a boyfriend?
Who-
She better not. She better not, bro.
Oh my god, I love her so much.
You gotta hurry up and get famous, Vic, before you miss out.
I know.
That's what I'm saying, bro. I was gonna go for Nikki, but now she's too old. And I was like, shit. Why? I was like, shit. Why? I can still get
Barbs,
Iggy.
not-
I was like, shit. I can still get Iggy, right? But now she got a kid, and I don't want that bag. So I'm like, shit, bro. I gotta get one of these
Yeah, man,
up and
fuck them
coming.
kids.
Like, I gotta get one of these up and coming like female celebrities, cause I'm up and coming still. So it's like, we gonna see, bro.
Yo, you sound nuts right now. I just want to let you know.
Just know,
you
bro.
sound nuts.
Listen, I got a plan.
You gonna be?
I'm over this.
I'm finna be in a
We haven't
polyamorous.
read it yet.
I'm finna be in a.
We've been ranting the entire time. I feel like, do you guys feel like we need to do a rant?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Absolutely. You got a rant?
Okay, I don't got a rant.
Shamar, you got a rant?
Yeah, Shamar, you got a rant?
You got something spark my interest or something?
Nah.
What sparks your interest? All right, let's start there. What sparks your interest? Because we don't know.
Yeah.
What
Music.
sparks your interest?
You know, sometimes you don't really need to know.
Oh my
What
God.
does that mean? Okay.
Well, there goes your 6 words from Shamar this episode,
Yeah,
guys.
there we go.
This is
You're
episode
You're
007.
fucking welcome. Smash the like button, man.
I thought you had a round that you want to do.
I don't know.
Nah.
You sure?
I do. No, I always got rants, but my rants are always going back to how shitty our parents are. It goes back to how shitty our parents are, and how we don't talk about sex enough, and how you know
Yeah, he got the
relationships
same.
are a lie. So those are my go-to 3. I feel like y'all had enough about it already. I speak about it enough already, like outside of the podcast. But fuck it, I'm gonna do it anyway. I don't give a fuck. So like for real though. I was having this discussion with Vic. Vic actually took me out to dinner after his card got declined for buying us dinner one night.
Bro,
so Vic made it up by taking us out to dinner.
Unnecessary.
Wait, so where was I?
You at work because you
Put
work
in
too
those
goddamn
12-hour
much.
shifts?
This is what happened. This is what happened. We worked too damn much, man. But anyway, Vic took me out and we were talking. I asked him about relationships, right? Because we've been in Pennsylvania for a little bit, and I just remember being 20, 21. And just like, wanting to be outside and shit. And Vic was like, yeah, well, I asked him, I was like, yo, bro, like, how do you feel about relationships? I haven't seen you really be with nobody, whatever the case may be. And he explained his position in it. And really, I asked him that question not to be in his business, but really just to see what his thoughts are about just relationships and marriage and the whole scam that the United States and the Western Hemisphere has about relationships. So I mean that really is the rant is that how much I feel like relationships marriage in particular is a scam, not just by the government but by women as well. And hear me out, women. Yeah, no, it's a scam because we don't talk about the things that are really important to us, and we just jump head first because we're young and dumb and full of cum, and we just get into these massively complex relationships without really figuring out things for ourselves. We end up in situations where people just aren't equipped to not only manage their feelings, but then manage someone else's feelings and expectations. And how I just feel so jaded that I had to learn this on my own at 31. So that's the rant. So again, it goes back to the parents. Parents, have these conversations with your kids. You're not having them effectively. God damn it. What? Who are you talking about?
Show me monkeys.
Oh, that's gross. But no, it goes back to just the idea that parents don't have adequate discussions about relationships and what that really means. And then as well, people who are adults in their early 20s, learn yourself first, because you are not the same person. You at 20 or 18 are different at 20, and you are different again at 21, and you will be different at 25, and you will be different at 30. So please take your time and learn yourself, because the hardest thing that you ever want to do is get into a contract, a legally binding contract with somebody, just to figure out that you guys are ultimately going to either grow together or grow together apart, and it just leads to complications. And there is truth to the saying of people don't make you happy, you have to make yourself happy. That is an absolute thing. It's an absolute thing. So my rant is, learn yourself before you try to get with someone else. Mm-hmm. And parents, it is your fault why people have so many broken relationships, because of the inadequate conversations around relationships and sex and all that other good stuff. So there goes my.
I feel like a lot of parents aren't equipped for that though.
Well, it's funny you should say that. Because every parent was a child at one point, or a young adult, and they were left up to choices, and it goes back down to your choices. So I know that me, as a black man who didn't have a father growing up, I will take extra precautions and an extra interest in discussing relationships and sex and marriage and a special interest in my son's life, so that way we can, so that way when he's ready to make decisions, that he understands what he's actually getting into, and that when he starts to experience changes, he's able to advocate for himself a lot better than I have. So,
okay. Who else got a rant? Because I don't got a rant. I got to go talk to my baby. Hold on. Victor, go ahead with your rant. I'll be listening from the door.
I don't have a rant. I think I got everything. I think I got everything I want to say out. My main issue is with the whole that whole super straight thing really pissed me off. Yeah, I just if we could have like a closing message or whatever, I do want to say that we should definitely check ourselves when it comes to our tolerance of certain things, because I think the reason why things are still so fucked today, even though it's only been 60, 70 years since segregation and all that bullshit, still I think that we can make a lot more. Your grandmother went to the Million Man March. Yeah, exactly. People still alive that you could talk to that went through that stuff. So I think that we can make a lot more progress if we look at the things that we tolerate and realize that we don't have to tolerate them just because it's the societal norm too. If your friend makes racist remarks and it makes you uncomfortable, or if you're friends with somebody who's extremely homophobic, or if you catch yourself doing certain things, or don't be afraid to correct people. Like I have friends who are, Hispanic or white passing, who have white friends who say the N-word, and they say that they don't correct them because they feel like it's not their place. They're not black, so they shouldn't correct them. And I think stuff like that, tolerance like that,
silence is compliance.
Exactly. I feel like we have way too much tolerance. Just check what you tolerate. Know that you shouldn't be afraid to not tolerate bullshit. That's all.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got anything for us, Jamal?
Well, other than that, you're forgetting something.
What?
Oh my God.
What am I forgetting? Our stems and seds?
Me and Shauna got pimple scars on the same cheek in the same place.
Yeah, y'all are disgusting. Why y'all the same
person? We got
person?
pimples in the same place.
Why y'all the same person?
We got the same scars. Isn't that crazy?
Why y'all the same person?
I hate it here.
That shit is fire.
I hate it here.
My stem for the week is Chloe Bailey. And HBO Max, specifically Titans. That show is
Are we
great.
going to watch the new 4-hour cut of the Justice League shit?
No, absolutely not.
Why not?
I refuse to put any more effort in any DC movies.
Why not?
If it's not an animated DC movie, I'm not putting any effort into it.
Oh my gosh, what a fake
The first Justice League wasn't that good. And you want me to sit through
supposed to be better.
You want me to sit through 4 hours just to get better?
Yeah.
No, turn it to a series, then I'll watch it. DC does amazing work on their TV shows.
They need your support to make better movies.
Nope. No, I don't want them to make movies. I want them to make TV shows.
This is a fake fan.
Right now.
They turn away from you when things are bad.
I have never.
That's what a fan is supposed to do.
I have never.
Your fan is supposed to stick with you and criticize you to help you get better.
No, I'm not supporting something I don't like. I'm sorry. There it goes. I support
but you like
something I do
DC.
I like their DC animated movies and the DC.
And I bet 5 years down the line, if their movies get raw, you're going to be right back watching them. Isn't that crazy? They leave you when you're down and come back when you're up.
Listen, there's no amount of dialogue that they can place that will make me say, you know what, this was going to be a better movie. You're not doing it. Sorry.
Just know if I catch you in the theaters where I'm saying something.
Okay.
Are you dumb or not?
So,
that's your stem?
Yeah, my stem is Chloe Bailey and the Justice League. My seds are, what was it? I don't remember.
Wow, that's what's up. That's what's up, husband. Okay.
It probably was annoying at one point, but.
Okay. I don't have anything to say.
Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. My said Fridays. How dare TGI Fridays? How dare you? How dare you decide that you're gonna have an hour and a half wait?
You guys are a real fucking restaurant.
We got there at 8:00. Talking about, we can't sit you to 9:30. Nigga, not only did we go somewhere else, Red Lobster,
you niggas don't even got hibachi.
We ate and left all before 9:30.
Just so y'all know, we pulled up out of the mercy of our hearts. Okay, we said, you know what, we'll give them a little bit of business, and y'all had the nerve to give us an hour and a half wait.
Listen, I have never. I would never support the Fridays in Delaware.
Bitch.
It's my stead.
I don't really have any. I don't know.
Her stem is TikTok right now. She went from having no followers to what, 47,000 followers. At
52,000.
She's at 52,000 followers in a matter of 2 weeks. Not even a week and a half, really, because she spent the first week crying. So the second week she spent.
Fucked up. I was having a mental break.
The second. So in a week's time, in 9 days, she got 52,000 followers. Oh yeah. Now all she needs to do is get smart on Instagram and upload some videos to the reels, and she can really make some money.
Oh yeah.
And plug the podcast once in a blue moon.
She conspiracy theory on the podcast. Like, what does Shamar think about?
I don't want. See, that's the thing. It's like it's hard because I told Armand that I want to continue to do the podcast like just like this because I feel like doing it is the only way you get better.
Yes.
But him and I were both like, man, the product right now is not like bad at all. I think the commentary is great. To be honest, I'm shallow as hell. So if you find this podcast, it is because of the sweet baby Jesus shine down on you today. I don't like the way I look in 10 out of 10 of these. Okay, the angles are terrible, and I need to start making more of an effort.
But why haven't you said to the only person that's making the angles? You should have said that, and I would have tried something else.
Okay, because I hate the way I look.
Yeah, we should experiment with the setup while
because
we done changed the setup a bunch of times, and you guys didn't want to say anything to it.
No,
I've been asking you guys for feedback forever now.
I think
that's
I'm
true.
Perfect,
that's true.
Everybody else.
But you know what it is?
So I think I'm perfect covering every part of his
Hey,
skin.
man, I'm still dripped out, man. Look, if you want to see more of my skin, I got a link tree in my Instagram. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, link tree. Yo,
Blech.
let me find out if Vic got OnlyFans in that link tree.
We're gonna start raking in a big one soon. You know what I'm saying?
Sleeps out here. Is that why he got all the neon lights now?
Hey, Shamar, no, when them lights turn red, he gotta stay out, bro.
Vic got OnlyFans.
Too sweet.
That's gonna be the title. Vic got OnlyFans.
That link hit me up, bro.
That's definitely the title of this episode.
No thanks. So like I think that
So your stem is her set is that she doesn't like the camera angle, even though she never said anything until today.
yeah, it's yeah. So there's that.
Stem cell.
I don't think I got no stems this time, but sets.
Damn.
I think
Isn't your plus that you get a lot of bread from all the overtime at work?
Feel free.
Listen.
Yeah, I got that
Vic
confused,
Has-
bro.
He's like, oh shit, what is this? What are these emotions I'm feeling?
Listen, buddy. Fuck.
No stem this time. Said definitely looking into the future for these next 5 weeks is about to be just stupid.
So like you taking me to dinner or you buying like what you buy you buy me groceries like I'm just all y'all niggas just all y'all do is just y'all are just like
So my
big
stems,
ass women. Okay.
so
Great.
my stems, actually it's funny because my stems are the next 6 weeks. I'm gonna be working with his location.
You mean working at my
He's-
store? I'm the manager.
I just think it's at my store, like I won't run it. All right. Anyway, I'm gonna be working at his location to help out with the vaccine efforts and everything. And while for him it's a SED, for me it's a STEM because my life is way easier coming to that store than my previous one, so that makes me happy. My SED. So I hopped on this new goddamn Avengers because Avengers dropped a PS5 update. So I hopped back on it and tried to play it. That game's still boring as hell, and they still don't give me my character, and I have to play all these fucking missions just to get the character I want to play, and it sucks.
Got it.
So that's my SED.
It's been another episode of Blood Don't Matter Podcast.
I
I
love you
appreciate
guys so
all,
much.
all the
Oh my
viewers,
God.
all
I
6
love
of you
you
guys. I
so
appreciate
much.
it. And,
Gotta stop disrespecting them every
Facts,
time.
bro. You don't gotta call them
Wait,
out
wait,
like
how-
that.
This is called engaging the audience. So I am engaging those 6 files. I appreciate y'all. I love
Stop
y'all,
putting
and
a
I
finite
swear,
number on it.
and I swear, I'm gonna share it on my Facebook one of these days as soon as I have it in me to actually do some editing, because editing is another job, and I already have enough.
Man, editing my 60-second TikTok videos for my series be throwing me all the way the fuck off. Like,
Yeah. So we
It's
just know that
60
when
seconds.
Shauna makes it big on TikTok, she's gonna be plugging us there. So if you're not on TikTok, get on it, and you know, eventually you'll find out that this podcast exists. You know, once we're 152 episodes in deep, I'll start sharing it on other platforms.
literally the stuff. You're so dramatic.
Huh?
You're so
I
dramatic.
know.
Jesus Christ.
This is
Do you want
what
to see how
people,
people disrespect me on
this is what people
TikTok?
follow me for.